Well, Happy New Year. I'm saying that to you, Danielle, even though I've said it to you already before.
Huh?
Happy New Year to you, even though I've said it to you already before. Hey, everyone. Welcome to 2023. It's crazy how fast 2022 passed. And, I know we took a little break there for the first couple last weeks of the month because, sometimes you just got to do that. And we actually did a nice vacation. It was a little bit warmer than where we are in Wisconsin, which is totally okay. Danielle got a little bit of a tan, so did I. Even got new glasses. But anyways, uh, today actually I was going to share this with you all. I gotta make sure to find it. It's a meme on New Year's resolutions, and you may have made a New Year's resolution here. And here's the meme it said. It said, "What exactly is a New Year's resolution? It's a to-do list for the first week of January." You know what? If you went ahead and made New Year's resolutions, I congratulate you. Go do it. If you're doing continuation of goals from 2022 into 2023, congratulations. Wherever you're at, this is a good time to go ahead and start anew, even though I think any day you can start anew. And today we're going to talk about probably one of the most important things I feel when setting goals and setting resolutions, and that's a self-reflection, right? And here's the reasons why I believe in it. Like Danielle, I'd like to hear your take on it too. But for me, a self-reflection, actually sitting down and reflecting on the past year is a good way to take stock of your life and really consider what you've accomplished over the past year and what you hope to achieve in the future, right? And I heard this quote just recently, and it just really hit home with me. It said, a lot of times when we're experiencing different pain in our life, we want to go ahead and run away from it and not actually sit down and reflect on it. But the formula, it was by Ray Dalio. He said, pain plus reflection equals progress. I'll say it one more time again. Pain plus reflection equals progress. And you may have accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish in 2022. Congratulations. And again, you may be one of those people like myself who didn't accomplish everything I wanted to accomplish in 2022. It gives us a new purpose for life here today. So we're going to go through some of the purposes of what we've learned in terms of reflection. And then next week, we're going to actually go through the reflection workbook. If you haven't got your copy of it yet, please stay tuned. We'll be sending a link out shortly in terms of the annual reflection book that we put together. So the first benefit, I believe, in self-reflection is you build self-awareness. What does that mean for you? Because you've done it for years. I know you've got your schedule coming up here, but how come reflection helps you with building self-awareness?
I think it helps you take a look inwards at yourself and what you've set out for yourself to do, and by becoming more self-aware, you can kind of start to see patterns that maybe pop up or different ways in which you were working towards things, like what was helping me build that success, what was tripping me up to not reach that success. And I think by being more self-aware of yourself and your feelings, your emotions, your all that, it helps continue to help you build forward.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there, because when I went through my self-reflection here last week, I didn't realize, like, when I looked at my year into like 4 parts of some of the things that I was doing at the beginning of the year really helped propel me. Actually started in December of 2021 to a very strong start to the year. And I think by doing that self-reflection, like you said, you can actually examine your thoughts, your feelings, and behaviors from actually a more objective perspective. And that's what it did for me. And we talk about most things in life as a leadership problem. And the first place you got to start is aware. Because sometimes people are not aware they have a problem or they have something good going on. And once you become aware of it, you can then acknowledge it and then take action on it. So that's number one. It builds self-awareness. I think another thing it does, it helps you, like you mentioned too, is identify strengths and areas for improvement. I know some of you guys may be watching this going, man, I don't really want to like, I mean, I know I got to improve in this area, but I don't really want to improve in this area because I sort of like what I'm doing right now. But I think in order to achieve something that you've not ever achieved before in your life, you got to become someone that you haven't been before. So I think that's one of the reasons why identifying strengths and areas for improvement are important. Like, what does that do for you, Danielle? Like, when also you do a reflection, you're like, okay, like, even though you might be repeating the same thing from over and over again the year before, it may not want to acknowledge it. What has that done for you to really identify the strengths and areas for improvement for yourself, to move yourself forward?
Well, I think it helps build on areas in which that I've seen success, and then also like maybe areas where I was having success that all of a sudden I fell off track, and so now all of a sudden I have an area to improve again, and being able to look at like if I do want to achieve this, who do I have to be, and then putting yourself in that position of if you are that person, what are the things that you're going to be doing to continue to get to there.
Well, and I think too, like you said, you get to identify habits that either are serving you or harming you or hurting you from moving forward to those goals. I think that's just so important. It's like doing an annual physical, which I still got to schedule mine, but it just gives you a baseline of where you're at. And I think so many times we can focus on the things that we're not good at. And I heard this morning on a podcast that I was listening to. They said, 80% of most people's time is spent on the 4 to 5 areas where they suck at, where they're, not good at, or the problems in their life. And we disregard the 50 other areas which are awesome in our life. So when you go ahead and look at doing a self-reflection, you can truly identify the strengths and the areas for improvement for yourself. Now, this is not an area. It makes a difference for me. So one of the things that I do in terms of self-reflection, I told this to someone here last night. I literally will open up my calendar and go through every day of the year. Because a lot of things in our life, and at least in our life, is put in the calendar. And initially when I was doing my self-reflection, I didn't do that. But one of the last questions in the book, the workbook, I tell everyone, hey, you know what? Open up your calendar and literally go through each and every day. And I tell you what, Danielle, I look at my calendar like, wow, like there are some times in which I really did not honor my calendar this last year. And it showed in my results. I didn't see it right away, but we have a little bit of accountability in our family at times. Like if I say I'm going to go get a workout, Danielle will eventually come to me and says, well, how was your workout today? And I look at that text, go, damn it. But I know it's part of the schedule, and if it doesn't get scheduled, more likely it's not going to get done. When it comes for improving time management and productivity for you, Danielle, in what you do in your role and whatnot, what has that taught you to actually sit back and reflect on things in terms of time management and productivity?
Well, realizing that if I'm not getting something done and I do it, the amount of time that actually takes to get it done is probably less time than the amount of time that I think about doing it and then it not getting done. So it's really taught me the power of just doing something right away when you're thinking about it. I know yesterday was one of those days we're still kind of catching up on sleep because we were traveling super early on New Year's Eve, which meant a very early middle of the night morning for us. And so yesterday was just kind of one of those days, and I'm like, I know that I get a workout in, my run in, and I sat there and I was like, I want to go run and I don't want to go run. But the 5 minutes I took thinking about that could have been 5 minutes into my run. And so it's just like those things when you make up stories and you realize like the stories that you're telling yourself and thinking about stuff really just takes more time than actually probably the project that you need to get done.
That's so true. Like I have this project, aka I'm guilty of this. If you are with me on this, if you're watching this live, you can go put this in the comments. I love to learn. I'm curious. I like to find out answers to my questions. And what I'll do is I'll do Google searches, and I will go ahead and type in like how to do this. So all of a sudden I find an article that really resonates with me. I'll bookmark it. And if you would look on my phone, I have tons of looks like apps on my phone. I do have more apps that I probably should, but that's a subject for another different day. But there's all these bookmarks. And I saw it and I'm like, I gotta clean this up. And I kept on thinking, I need to clean it up. I need to clean it up. And finally, while we were on vacation, I went to my phone, delete, 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 bookmark folder, bookmark, and it looked a lot cleaner. So then I did it. I'm like, all right, I'm on a roll right now. I have this tablet called the Remarkable tablet. If you don't have a Remarkable tablet, they are not sponsoring this. You guys should sponsor this podcast and conversation. It's been one of my best productivity hacks in terms of instead of having 5,000 different notebooks sitting around, I have one, and this doesn't go on the internet. There's no chat messages showing up to distract me. Very short. I have a lot of different folders on this thing too. And while I was on vacation, I cleaned it up. It probably took me maybe 10, 12 minutes. But how much minutes did I actually spend thinking about it? Probably a lot longer than that. So it definitely will help you improve your time management and the activities you put out there. I think that's another thing too. It helps you better focus your energy. When you do self-reflection and you're looking at your calendar for the year and all the things that you want to achieve, man, I look at my booklet from last year, my 2021, 2022 booklet that I did. I'm like, man, that didn't take me as much time as I thought it was going to. And like you said, that story, we're amazing storytellers. And I was like, wow, I really put some stories into things on that. So that's another purpose of why you want to go ahead and do a self-reflection. Here's another one, enhancing relationships. Self-reflection helps me improve my relationship by helping me gain a better understanding of myself and my own needs, which in turn helps me communicate more effectively with others. I'll give you an example. One of my goals this last year was to have a date night with my beautiful bride, that's Danielle, by the way, at least once a month. Because I knew I had different goals to achieve, volleyball and everything like that, because I know I still feeling a little bit anxious when her and I don't have connection time. I feel it. I just feel it. And I don't like that feeling. So I put a goal is I want to have a strong relationship with my bride. And in order to do that, I had to intentionally make time for us to have a date night. What does it do? How does self-reflection help you enhance relationships, Danielle?
Well, I think it keeps the forefront of what relationships are important and how you can feed them. And if you are not feeding the relationships, they're dying. And so it's really keeping in the forefront of your mind, like what relationships are important to me and how can I continue to build on them. And then also what relationships are maybe holding you back. How can you correct that? If it is a meaningful relationship to you, what ways can you correct some of that?
Actually, that's a good point there, because there's some of those relationships that we gotta let go. And mind you, I'm not just talking about people, human being relationships, but there might be relationships you have with food, with social media, with that TV series that you want to always schedule in your day. Right? But like you said too, Danielle, it's like, what's important to you? I read this book recently, When Air Becomes Breath. What was it called? or is it breath becomes air? I keep on messing it up.
I don't remember.
If you haven't read it, I'd encourage you to read it. It was one of those books that we're sitting by the pool, and I was reading it, and Danielle was sitting next to me, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Like, I'm in my moment right now. And when I mean my moment, it really hit me emotionally. It really made me think. And the story is about, it's an autobiography from a neurosurgeon who worked on brains and landed up getting brain cancer. And he talks about his journey in battling brain cancer. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I remember getting done with the book afterwards and just going out and doing a little walk and watching my son and his friend play volleyball. And it just made me just really reflect on my life and inspect it. And I'm like, man, like, I may have goals for 30, 40 years from now. And God and I have an agreement that I'm living to 120 years of age. And thus far, it's working out pretty damn good. But you never know. And for me in relationships, relationship with with Danielle and my son, my daughter, and my family and friends, is like, when you do this self-reflection, you can actually evaluate, okay, how are my relationships? And what relationships need to go? And they're just taking up space. And that's okay. Because we all serve a gift and a place in everyone's our lives. Or where's those relationships that are there that you might be taking for granted? That you might be thinking, it's all right. So that's one of the things I see in terms of enhanced relationships. What else would you add to that, Danielle, in terms of the self-reflection and how it can enhance relationships?
Well, I think you covered it, like just really reflecting like what's important and how you can take a look at, are you being a good steward of the relationships that you've been given, and the ones that you have that are just taking up space, like, why are you trying to fill a void there? What is the void that you're trying to fill with it?
Yeah. And also, I think it allows you to, like, say, for example, you got your old son. And, it made me think about, okay, well, like, what like, man-to-man not had with him yet. And by not having them give him that perspective to different areas in his life, is that the reason why he's experiencing different opportunities or different challenges? I'm like, And I read this quote too, that if it's something you gotta say and you don't say it, that's on you. So you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. And that's one of the reasons why I believe that reflection is such an important thing. I think the final point is what we all talk about, is setting goals and creating a plan for the future. The self-reflection done for you in terms of setting goals and creating a plan for the future. Because sometimes it gets exciting and sometimes it's like, okay, if I put this out here, and I put it out here many times before, what's going to be different? Or the fear of putting a goal out there. Let's talk about that, Danielle.
Well, I think it's important, like each year, to take a look and create a plan for the future, because I think we're different people than a year ago, and our goals for the future may not have changed. And so really being able to take a look and understand, like, who I was then, and this was important to me, it may not be as important to me now, or it may be more important to me now. And I really need to take the steps to work towards this. And so I think yearly it's important, because times change. We grow and we change, and situations change, our circumstances change, our lives continually change. And so a goal that we maybe had 20 years ago isn't relevant now, because 20 years ago, it was something that was important that we were working towards. And if we continue to work towards that, but yet now it's not, or we've hit that, and we want to hit it in a different way, like, I think it's important to understand that as we change, our goals are going to continue to change.
Yeah. I mean, you can adjust goals, Danielle. I mean, you can adjust the things that you want to go after in life. No, really. But some people don't think about that, though. We get so dead set on things that we do change. And I think too is you got to ask yourself when you set the question. You look at your goals. And Jay Abraham said this John Abraham said this in a podcast. He said, "Are you interested in it, or are you committed to it? Because you're interested, the excuses will outweigh the reasons. But if you're committed, then nothing is going to stop you." I think we got to ask ourselves when we're sitting down looking at different goals. I think you should have different goals in different areas of your life: your spiritual, your health, your finances, your relationships. Is your life worth it in pursuing it? Because in reading that book, When Breath Becomes Air, I should probably make sure I look at the right title. It made me ask myself the question, am I truly respecting this life that I've been given? I mean, prayers go out to the Bills football player that went through cardiac arrest. And I just heard just recently that he's now in ICU now, and actually he's gotten regular heartbeat now, which is a beautiful thing. But last week he did it. I don't know if last week or when it was exactly. He did an interview. He says that every Wednesday, him and the defensive back, they do a prayer together. He goes, man, and a gratitude prayer about how grateful they are for the opportunity to live the life that they get to live. Because part of his story is he had friends, sisters, or something like that get killed. And ironically enough, he said, because tomorrow's not promised. And the unfortunate events that happened last night. So I think when you're setting goals and creating a plan for the future, one, you got to ask yourself, are you truly want to do it? And is your life, is it worth giving part of your life to pursue it? For me, at least, that's like a litmus test, isn't it? For you, in terms of like setting the goals and creating a plan for the future for you, Danielle, I mean, you have a different perspective from me on it. What's your perspective on in terms of the reflection and setting those goals and helping you setting those goals and creating that plan for the future?
Well, for me, it's just, keeping what's important in our family, to me, is important. And so, everything that I'm setting, is it helping me create a better life with you? If I'm saying yes to something, what am I saying no to? And so understanding, you have goals, and it's good to have goals independent of one another. But at the same time, like, is it going back to enhancing relationships? Like, is it helping me build stronger relationships where I want them stronger? Or is it helping me, or is it driving me in an opposite direction of what I want from those goals, from those relationships, by setting those goals?
You said something that just like stood out to me like nobody's business. If you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Can you like expound a little bit on that? Because that's profound.
Well, it's just, if you're setting a goal, for me, I have to look at like if I'm saying yes to all these different things going on, is it taking me away from my family? So every yes that I'm like opportunity that you have to go do something outside the home, or like I know a lot of leadership people that go out and do speaking events. Like they're saying yes to all these speaking events, but then they're saying no to time being spent with their family, which is maybe why they're going to do these speaking events, because it's their bread, like for their family. So just understanding like there is an appropriate time to say no to other things, because then you're saying yes to your family, or yes to those things, and understanding that by saying yes, you're saying no to something in regards to your family. So just understanding where that line is for your life.
Yeah, I think that's just great. You're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else, and are you okay with that now? See, folks, there's no question about it. I married up. It is what it is. It is what it is. So, 5 purposes on why you want to do a annual self-reflection. We talked about building self-awareness. You're going to identify strengths and areas for improvement through that self-awareness. You're going to improve your time management and productivity. You're going to enhance your relationships. And finally, it's going to help you in setting goals and creating a plan for the future. So as we finish up here, Danielle, what will be some final thoughts when it comes to self-reflection? Because next week, we're going to talk about our own self-reflection in this past year.
I think it's just important to understand that, who, as we continue to grow ourselves, goals and our lives change. And so something that, and it's okay too to not know what you want for your future, because you may be going through a self-reflection and seeing the things that you may not have seen before, or have different goals now. So just using that time to really reflect where you are, who you are, and where you want to go is important to take the time to do.
Yeah. I think you make up a good point there too, is that someone who may be watching this today going, you know what, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want for that next stage. Like, what is my purpose? And our purpose is going to come to us in all shapes and forms. Christopher Reeves, if some of you guys may know who that is, he was a Superman. And then he had a horsing riding accident where he became paralyzed from it, right? And he gave a talk shortly before he passed away and said, you may look at me and feel sorry for me, but because of this horsing accident and what it did to my body. He goes, I see it as I have more purpose in my life now than when I was Superman. And I'll leave you all with this quote here when it comes to reflection. The most powerful weapon on earth is you, the human soul, on fire. In what ways can we help you either light your fire in 2023 or help you make that fire burn brighter? Until next week, I'm Tony Jalen with the wonderful
Danielle Jalen.
Onward and Upwards.